Yo, what is up guys? It is your boy Ryan Tomlinson bringing you another math video today, and this time I will be teaching you about trigonometric ratios and what are some of the things you'll be learning. Well, that is the sine, cosine, and tangent and how to use them, and how to use your calculator to find these. So the main points of this lesson are the sine, cosine, tangent, and Pythagorean theorem. And all of these are related to a right triangle, and you guys probably already know about the Pythagorean theorem, but if you did not, or if you forgot, then I have some examples here to refresh your memory. And so let's jump into the Pythagorean theorem right now. We'll get back to the sine, cosine, and tangent in just a little bit. So here I have two right triangles, and here's A, B, and C, all the different sides. And so let's go ahead and solve this first triangle. So set up the equation with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So a squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared, and 4 squared of course is 16, and 5 squared is 25. So you solve like any other equation. You subtract 16 from both sides, and that gives you a squared equals 9, and you square both sides to get rid of the exponent, and that gives you 3. So let's go on and solve this next one, and this time we set up the equation as 4 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, and so move on to 16 plus 25 equals c squared, and that gives you 41 equals c squared. And the final answer comes out to c equals the square root of 41. And so here is another right triangle, and I'm going to let you guys solve this one out using the Pythagorean theorem. So you can pause the video and then unpause it when you're ready, and I'll have the steps and answer just in a moment. So here are the steps, and hopefully what you got is a equals 6, so you just square 8 and square 10, and then you subtract 64 from both sides, which gives you 36, and then you square both sides as well, and that gives you 6. Okay, so let's move on here. Oh, sorry. Now we're getting some of the more important stuff, which is sine, cosine, and tangent, and their abbreviations are right here. And so sine is the opposite of a right triangle over the hypotenuse. The cosine is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, and the tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So let's say we want to solve for A. We would put the opposite side of A over the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse will always be across from the 90-degree angle, and the side next to our angle will be the adjacent side. Oops. And so you can also use SO, CA, and TOA to remember these, as sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So here are a few right triangles, and you can try and solve these for angle A using SO, CA, and TOA. And you can pause the video and then unpause it when you're ready, and I'll have the answers right below. So solving for angle A, these should be the answer that you have gotten, which is A over C, opposite over the hypotenuse, B over C, adjacent over the hypotenuse, and A over B, opposite over the adjacent. Okay, so let's move on. Here is another right triangle, and so those are just a few examples using A, B, and C, but let's solve for the or using the actual degree. So you would set this up: sine times 80 equals h over 10. So we're going to be using opposite over hypotenuse. And so you multiply both sides by 10, which cancels this side out, and then you would set it up like this: 10 times the sine times 80, which would give you 9.85. And so let's put that into a calculator. I'll show you how to do that. So you do parentheses 10, and then you hit sine, and then you put in 80 right there, and that should give you 9.848, but you can round it to the nearest hundredth, which would give you 9.85. And so here is another right triangle, and you can do what we just did up here to solve for h. And pause the video and then unpause it when you're ready, and all of the steps and answer below. So these are the steps, and what you should have gotten is 19.91. So if you're trying to solve for the tangent, you would use the same method as sine in the calculator by typing in 15 tangent and then 5.3, which should give you 19.905, and then once again you can round it up. Okay, so if you have a problem and you're trying to solve for the angle but you don't know it, you would basically use the inverse, and that means that you would use the exponent of -1, and you would just solve it in the calculator like any other, except you would use the second degree of the cosine, which would then put the exponent up there, and then just type in 19 divided by 21, which should give you 25.21, which would be the degree right here. Okay, so here's another example, and you can try this, and then I'll have, here's a big problem, big example. You solve for x, y, and z, and you have enough information right here to solve for all of it. And pause the video, this one may take a little while. Just use all the methods that I went over. You can go back in the video if you forgot some, but I'll have the answers right below. So just pause the video and then unpause it. So these are the answers. X should equal 39.49, Y should equal 35.64, and Z should equal 25.28. Alright, so this is the end of the lesson. I have some homework problems for you guys. There's only 3 of them. They're pretty easy and very simple. Just go ahead and work these out, and then I'll have the answers with the next video I post. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.